Hey guys, my name is Ryan and welcome to Overwatch Central. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about Hammond specifically. He's been in competitive well over a week now, and I figured now was a good time to look at some stats both via overbuff and also on Omnic meta to get a real good gauge on how good he is. But the point of this video is to highlight why he's the best hero that we've seen added into the game for some time, how healthy his launch has been, and why I feel that this hero could be one of the strongest in the future, but ultimately, I guess why he's better than Ana, let's be fair. Sombra, Doomfist, Orisa, Moira, Brigitte have all been added into the game since launch, and whilst you do have some really oppressive heroes like Doomfist and Brigitte were in nature, they swung the meta and changed it drastically because they came in a little bit too strong. Brigitte especially, Doomfist was a bit of an iffy one. But it's quite easy to look at Hammond and go, he's not very good, he's inefficient, he can't play a lot of stuff, and I just disagree completely. We'll take a look at Omnic meta first as a nice sort of breakdown of everything. We want to go through these pictures fairly quickly. When it comes to eliminations comparison, Wrecking Ball has the worst in comparison to all of the other tanks. Damage done, he's about the same as Winston, just a little bit more. And deaths comparison, he is one of the highest alongside Winston and also Reinhardt. The two main ones I want to look at though are the usage comparison and the win rate comparison. Wrecking Ball, as you can see here, is used quite a lot, more than Roadhog, more than Orisa on a consistent basis, and kind of better on average than Winston. Obviously he peaks up as you're going into GM because dive becomes much more favoured there, but nowhere near the sort of heights of Zarya, Reinhardt and D.Va. And his win rate comparison looks somewhat healthy, but obviously there's a big spike. You have the win rate below 50% as you're in the lower tiers, and then goes above 50% as you get into like Master and GM. And I think this is one of the things that needs highlighting about Hammond in a sense, is just how good he could be in the right hands. People are obviously looking at this new hero and working out where he's going to be good. We've gone over this quite a few times. He's been used in a main tank position as we're seeing in the sort of pro scene, and also different strategies too. Like, he isn't a bad hero by any stretch. So let's have a look at how much he's played on the likes of Overbuff, how his launch was comparable to something like Brigitte. Let's take a look at Brigitte first. She came into competitive at the start of Season 10, and she came in with a popularity of 11.69% pick rate across an average of all of the tiers. And as you've seen with the graph, it drops down all the way down to around 3.55%. So you can see how steep the drop was to begin with because of all of the nerfs, but now she's in a pretty stable point since the start of Season 11. She's basically a hero that came into the game a little bit too good. Let's compare that to Wrecking Ball, who's come in and on average nowadays is sort of played at 3.3% and has dropped a little bit down to 2. So that is comparable in pick rate to the likes of Lucio, Tracer, Orisa, all of these heroes that can be really good in certain situations. So that's all the information we have available on the new hero from these sites. The Omnic meta did a good breakdown. I don't want to just sit and talk about the rest of the article. I do recommend you check it out in the description below. But I think that there's two main reasons which make Hammond the best hero that's been added into the game so far. These stats for Hammond are only going to get better as players get used to him in all tiers. He is a hero that does require quite a high skill floor to really get use out of him, in a similar vein to Doomfist. You need to know how to really make that hero work, otherwise you are just hard throwing, especially with the amount of health that you have, disregarding shields of course because that provides the enemy no ult charge. But if you just swing in, get CC'd and taking out the fight, you're just essentially feeding at that point, in a very similar vein to Roadhog. So players are going to get better at him and get used to him, but there's nothing about this hero that feels oppressive, in a similar vein to how Ana used to be with a triple tank meta, to Brigitte I suppose as well. None of the heroes that have come out have been able to ride that line between the better that the community gets at this hero, the better that hero will be. His pick rate is already pretty good, but that's only going to rise as players get used to him, but he's never going to get to a point where he's one-shotting people, really stunning players out of situations, and just generally not doing what Brigitte did, just being anti-fun really. I love Brigitte, but that's the fact of it. I think Hammond playing against a good one is going to be frustrating, but you can almost appreciate how good they're playing a hero, like a really good Doomfist. You're like, that was annoying, I got killed, but well played. That Doomfist is absolutely tearing us apart. And I feel like Hammond is going to do that in a more subtle way than a DPS could. He's going to jump into your backline, stun the ground, use his shield to be really hard to kill, and constantly keeps doing that. But also I did want to highlight the fact that players are using him in a main tank role in the highest tier really does show to me how interchangeable this hero is. He's obviously really good with dive. I don't really need to explain that. He can dive in with targets with a Winston or a D.Va or with both. That is a strategy that can be used. But also, he can be played in slower comps with a Reinhardt, with a Zarya. You can find effective use there. It does affect the way that you play, the tempo, and the aggressive nature that you will play Hammond, but honestly, it still works. There's still a lot of synergy that you can have with all tanks in the game, not just the divey ones. And in ranked, where really the meta doesn't matter, you don't need to have a main tank or an off tank, you can run Hammond in these interchangeable roles, and very similarly to a Tracer or a Genji or a Doomfist, he is a hero that you can kinda to an extent go off and do your own thing. You don't need to sit around as a Reinhardt protecting your lineup, you could just get in there. Therefore, you're not relying on your team as much. So that's another real reason why I like him. So just to summarize, he has healthy stats already, which is very nice to see for a hero coming in. It's not going to require too many balance changes to this hero, if at all. He can be oppressive, he can be strong, but not in a similar vein to Brigitte. He's not going to hit that sort of level of being anti-fun. But because he requires a lot of skill to make use out of him, players are going to get better, they're going to get more used to him, work out where he's good, and it's going to be a nice healthy rise over time on his popularity and win rate. He can be used in a vast amount of strategies, and of course that's great for playing him in ranked. You can essentially one-trick him, I just advise against it, but I do recommend learning this hero. I do feel he's the best hero that's been added into the game since launch. But do let us know what you think of this in the comments below. Just wanted to give my opinion on this and also some stats first and foremost, so you guys knew that I wasn't just talking absolute rubbish. But thanks for watching, take care, we'll see you next time.